Welcome to the Pastor's Corner, a show that invites you to step into a sacred space where wisdom meets compassion, where faith intertwines with action, and where hearts are stirred and lives are transformed. Whether you find comfort in the pews of a church, the quiet corners of your home, or the bustling streets of your city, the Pastor's Corner is a place where you can find inspiration, encouragement, and a renewed sense of purpose. Welcome to the Pastor's Corner, where the transformative power of faith awaits you. Welcome to the first episode of the Pastor's Corner, where it's a sanctuary for the seekers, it's a place for the weary, and it's a place where you can find hope and inspiration. Today, I'm excited. On our first episode, we have the founder, the Bishop of Tabernacle Praise Ministries. Without Bishop Williams' leadership, the Pastor Corner wouldn't be here today. So I'm very excited. I'm very elated to be experienced the first episode with you at the Pastor's Corner with Bishop Effell Williams. Bishop, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Pastor. You're my pastor now. Somebody asked me today, so how did it feel? I said, yeah, he's my pastor now, so I'm a church member now.
Well, Bishop, remember 21 years ago, May 2003, I remember because that's when I was about to get married. We was at TBN. You were hosting, and I was a guest.
I remember that very well. Chief Battle was also one of the guests.
Right.
Sure did. I think we was talking about, if I'm not mistaken, you going through the seminary.
Right.
That you getting married. Yeah, I remember that well.
21 years ago. You were hosting, and I was your guest. Now I'm hosting, you my guest.
That's right. Take it in turn.
So Bishop, you recently decided to take another role in the ministry. So how everything's been going since you made that decision?
I don't feel no pressure anymore. Seriously, I think my plans will never do more than to get. I want to get out of 65. You know, I'm 69 now, and I'll be 70 this year. So that's my plan to go. I didn't want to be so old that I lose relevance.
Right.
I mean that, and I think it was time for a new voice, a new leadership to carry us to the next dimension in the Lord. First Lady Williams and I both were. I think we're ready. You know, she's been here every step of the way, the 35 years or so. We founded the church in 1988.
Wow. And
been ever since. And so now it's we're church members now.
Church members.
We're church members.
It's a different feel. You my pastor and bishop. Now you say we'll switch roles.
That's right. It is. When I say pressure, it's just being able to enjoy being 70. You know, still study, still read, still praying, still preaching, still teaching.
Right.
But as directed by the church itself, by the Holy Spirit, and under the leadership God gave you. So I'm pleased.
So Bishop, for 35 years you've been here at the top, but prior to that you had 4 years at another church. In the midst of today and culture we live in, churches start up, they quit. How were you able to sustain literally 40 years of ministry? Or were there times you wanted to quit? And if you did, what kept you from quitting?
Scared. Wanted to quit. There have been a couple of times I've come to the church with the intent of saying, this is it.
Wow.
This is God having truth. I said, I'm going to resign today. The pressure is not so much of continuing. It is the pressure of family life, your own family, all the cares of the people. And then hear from God. Then your personal walk with God. And sometimes it gets almost overwhelming. And anybody say it don't, they lie. I really believe that because because we want to present the people to the Lord.
Right.
That's what I want.
Right.
What God wants them to have. So the 4 years I pastored in Mississippi, you know, I was 20, what was that? Almost 30, I think maybe 29, 30 years of age, my first pastorship. I pastored for 4 years in Mississippi. And pastored the last 2 years, I was driving 147 miles one way every Wednesday night for Bible study and choir rehearsal, because I direct the choir too.
That's a long drive.
And every Sunday morning. Yeah, it was 294 miles every Wednesday and every Sunday.
Twice a week.
But that's what God, I thought, had me to do. And so when we founded this church, it's amazing when God told me to do it, I said no. I said, please, God, don't make me do this, because I didn't want to. I thought there's enough churches in the city. I didn't know anybody in the city.
Right.
I knew nobody in the city. But he said, do it. About 2 days after the Lord told me to start the ministry, I get a call from my sister saying, I felt the Lord told me to tell you to get a building.
Confirmation.
And I said, okay, Lord, we did it. And we were 7 members that we did it with. And I started, and so that's in the rest of history.
And to speak to that legacy and that commitment to ministry, here we are 35 years later, and hundreds of people are a part of the membership, and thousands have been impacted by your leadership and what God has called you to do. This day and age, you don't see that too often. They start churches and it's quit.
It sometimes it's overwhelming in terms of, I drive on campus. I've done it several times. Drive on campus, just stood in the middle of the parking lot.
Wow.
And it says, only you. I said, only you did this. From where we came from. The first church was my living room. We did that for about a month and a half right there in my living room at 4006 Merrifield Drive. Then we moved to the first building on First Avenue, 728. First Avenue building wasn't no bigger than this room, not too much bigger than this room. And we stayed there for about 18 months. Then we moved over to 1817. I remember
1817. That's what
hot box. What you took for. And then we came to this location here some years later. But sustaining power was just God. I mean, no method we could use, no gimmick you could use, no self-grandizement you could use. It's all God. And if I can share with anything with anybody about doing what God called you to do, obedience.
Obedience.
Just obey what God say to do. That's going to cause some folk to get angry. It's going to cause some folk to walk away. But the obedience what takes us to the finish line.
Obedience.
Your own self can get you in the race, but obedience make you finish it.
Wow. So obedience. We're in transition. Transition is important to God.
Yes.
Moses passed leadership over to Joshua.
Exactly.
Elijah passed leadership over to Elisha. Paul passed leadership over to Timothy, and even Jesus passed over leadership to the 12 disciples.
Correct.
There's a lot of tension in leadership. How do we need to navigate those waters anywhere we transition in life, but particularly inside of churches? Because when we look at the generals in the faith, there's a lot of transition going on a lot of places throughout the church world.
It is.
And so the state of the church, we're at not an impasse, but we're in a season of transitioning where people can walk away or people don't know how to deal with it. What would be your advice to this generation?
And that's a great point we need to discuss. Transition automatically causes change. And you've heard me say when I announced to the church that I was retiring, you don't join a man,
right,
or a woman. You join the ministry.
Correct.
The ministry is not one person. If that was the case, when we died, the ministry stopped.
Right.
What we have to keep in mind is that transition is for improvement and elevation, not status quo. I think I've seen transition with amount of people, and I've even seen it nationally. And things. What happens is we it becomes difficult when people don't want to change.
Yes,
change is difficult at times. When we understand what transition is, it's a shifting. Let me put it in automobiles analysis. When a car shifts to the next gear, the engine slows down. It runs easier, but you go faster.
Wow. Slows down, but move faster.
You shift to go faster. You start off in a lower gear because that's when this stuff starts. That's the heavier. Now you're getting friction and motion going. But we didn't shift and make a transition from me to you to slow us down.
Right.
It's to make it get easier. You shouldn't have to go back and rebuild nothing.
I sure appreciate that. I sure appreciate that.
You should not have to rebuild anything, but we reinforce, we redirect. I guess you could call it reinvigorate, because the engine is not supposed to get difficult with transition. I don't go from first to third to make the engine go higher.
Right.
Slow it down.
But
the engine runs smoother because now you've gotten motion going. The church is already running.
Right.
So we don't want to shift to a lower gear. So the shift from me to you is from forward trajectory and not slow us down.
Well, Bishop, when I came out of seminary, I was 25 years of age, and people
That's when I got married at 25.
People were trying to get, you need to go and pastor, you need to go and pastor. But I felt at the moment God wanted me to come back home. And telling you now, at a few months away from 45, I wasn't ready to pastor. I don't know if I'm ready now. Because I've seen behind scenes the weight you carry and what you deal with. And being your assistant for years, I didn't have to carry what you carry. You took all that with you. I just filled in what you shared with me. So we have a lot of young preachers out there who think they're ready to pastor. Preaching and pastor is two different things.
Totally separate.
Right.
That's two different animals.
Right.
Preaching is easy. You can do it in your sleep almost. It's when you call it pastoring, it's really shepherding.
Yes.
And what do shepherds do? Sheep do this, sheep do that, sheep stand, and he got to bring them all together.
All together.
The one who go over there by himself and keep going away. He got to keep going and get them. That's what a shepherd does. And here's the thing that I would say to you, and any young pastor who might see this. People are going to say, I wouldn't take that about you. I wouldn't do that about you. Why you let them do it? Shepherds' hearts are different. Mm. When I first started pastoring, I was tough as nails. And God one day told me, these ain't your people. These ain't your people.
Wow.
These are my folk. I said, you check me, Lord. So it's a whole nother animal when you're pastoring. So as we transition from 35 years of them hearing me, is it 35?
35, yes, 35.
Be 36 this year. 35 years of hearing me and following my voice. They hear Effell's voice, Now they're hearing Pastor Melton. That's a strange voice.
Right.
Not from the beginning, not strange from they know you.
Right.
But now you lead me.
Right.
Then assisting me, now you lead me. What I say to the whole fellowship, to all the church itself, is that you're not following the man.
Right.
You follow the leadership of the man as he lead the church. Mm-hmm. And that's a big difference.
That's a huge difference. And good advice for a young pastor.
Yes. I didn't get that, by the way, when I started.
Right. And that's why I feel privileged and blessed to have come up under this for 20 years and still saying there's room to grow, always growing, learning people. And I think it's a relationship between shepherd and sheep, that the shepherd learns more of the sheep and the sheep helps the shepherd to be the shepherd.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm learning already.
And you'll find it. Same church, like in our same house, same church, same teaching, same singing, same preaching.
Right.
Different sheeps who perceive it differently.
Yes.
And your job is to stay the same. Where they're going to want you to change. Mm. They're going to want you to be toward them, and you can't. Terry should see me. He does, but he can't see you any different than he sees the other ones.
Exactly. And
so it's just like however you do in transitioning from me to you. That's why I said, well, can Bishop do this? No, Bishop can't do that.
Right. I remember.
That's pastor's responsibility.
Right.
Because why? Because I'm no longer the voice. Mm. I'm no longer the voice of the church.
Got you.
And so we as a young pastor when I started, no one set me down. Now I served up under the pastor for years when I was in college.
Right.
But when I started off on my own, nobody was there every day with me. And I'm pastoring folks, and I'm from the outside.
Right.
I mean, I'm from Alabama. I'm Mississippi.
Right.
And you know me, man. So I have to do that. But the main thing is keeping in mind why we do this. Mm. When I told you times I want to quit, and I'm on the Lord, give me some sympathy. He gave me no sympathy.
Elijah moments.
Yes. In that cave, hiding out.
Right.
Just defeated all Baal's prophets. And I'm hiding.
Wow.
Because sometimes it gets, and anybody say they don't get tired, they lying. Mm-hmm. Anybody say they don't get difficult, they lying. All those things happen. But it's because it's not us.
Right.
Who does it. It's not us who caused it to happen. And to go from founding the church, to now without responsibilities. I don't want to get happy, but it feels
right. A weight lifted.
It's a weight lifted.
It's a weight lifted.
I think Brother Thomas told me about 2 weeks ago, like I lost 10 years of my life when I stepped through the door.
When people were I said, Bishop looks so youthful.
Yeah, I get you. Matter of fact, my sister-in-law, Bianca asked me the other day, she said, how does it feel you got to prepare for sermon? I said, no, I stay prepared. I just know when I'm going to preach it. I stay prepared. It's a different. Right. But it also does me well to see the people come.
It does.
When I drove on the campus on Sunday, when I drove up coming from Uniontown, because I went to Uniontown and preached, and I drove up and saw all the people in cars parked on the streets, not just a parking lot. Man, my heart just, I said, yeah, God, that's you. That's you. And to see it and to hear the people who came out for Bible study.
Yes.
See, let me tell you what they told us about the we was in school. They said, one, they come to church for God on Sunday. Sunday evening, they come to church for the pastor. On Wednesday, they come for themselves. So,
I remember that.
So, but you had a good crowd on Wednesday, and that is so encouraging. Mm-hmm. Transition is change itself.
Yes.
The whole term is transition.
Right.
I know it said transition, but really it's transitioning because it never stops.
Never stops. That's good. It never stops.
Continuation of that. And I tell everyone, Pastor Dario is not Effell. Though he preached like me, but he ain't me to it. and so what we do is we undergird. When Moses told Joshua, when the Lord told Moses, you ain't going in.
Right.
Joshua gonna do it. But then he told Joshua, as I was with my servant,
yes, Moses,
so I'll be with you. Just don't be fearful. Just don't be fearful. Be strong. Be obedient. No man prevail overcome you. All your days. As I was with Moses, so shall I be with you. That's what the people have to also understand in the transitioning period. That's a shifting of the guards. It's a changing of things. In everything that's done. And I think we ever keep this in our mindset, Pastor. We never transition to keep the old as it is.
That's heavy.
If you do, it will no need for transition.
Exactly.
If Tabernacle Praise was going to stay the way Effell had to go, I should never retire. I didn't retire for the church to remain in neutral or remain in third gear. You got 2 more gears before you get fifth gear.
Right.
You got to shift to those 2 gears. Then you would come. And then just punch a button, go into overdrive. Then you cruise down the road.
And Bishop, I think that's the challenge. People won't change, but what you just said, if we're going to change, we can't stay the same. Right. Anytime there's a change, you got to change with the change. Right. And so the times are changing, but we as the people must change with the changing of itself.
We have we have great opportunity here. We have some awesome people in this church.
We do.
I've been almost most of all the major churches. I've gone all the churches around here, and I wouldn't trade in them for this church. I'm being honest.
It's home.
This is home, man. I love the people. Home. They got some anointed people in it, gifted people,
very gifted,
talented people. When you transition, and I'm certain when Moses gave his thing over to Joshua, he's not getting this thing over to Joshua for.
Right.
I've been following Moses.
Right.
God knew this before it happened.
Exactly.
Who would be the shift and change? Again, I want to stop at 65. That fact, Lady Williams told me, you said 65. Well, the Lord didn't tell me. That's what I was saying.
But that was the height of the pandemic too, Bishop. So transition
sure was
very difficult.
Oh, wow, it sure was.
It was very difficult.
Sure was. It sure was. You were right. I mean, God, I told you, God this time, God used it.
Yes.
He didn't cause it. I don't know if he caused it, but he used it.
Right.
You're sure right.
Right. And speaking of that, Bishop, since the height of the pandemic, how does the church remain relevant to the digital world? But at the same time, we know God has called us to come together and assemble ourselves. How the church can be a hybrid version of church.
That's a great point for discussion. One of the things that in our conferences we go to, they're talking about using all the social media platforms to, some people have pastors, online pastors.
Right.
It's all they do is pastor folks online. You and I've talked about that.
Yes,
We've talked about things we need to do. And I think that should be something we need to move forward with as well. The problem is we can't lose sight of the physical building.
Mm.
Why? Because when we're all online, there's no connection physically. You think God didn't know there's going to be a digital age?
Right.
Said, forsake not some of yourselves.
Right.
You knew that.
Right.
Because there are times I need you. I need people to lay hands on me, pray for me.
Exactly.
So I think what we do is we keep the online as real or as personable. I mean, it's not just they're showing that they're seeing the live service that day or whatever it is.
Exactly.
But and we have to connect with them beyond Sunday, beyond that service, beyond that Bible study, where we connect with them on a regular basis, like we do in church. It's a challenge.
A huge challenge.
It's a challenge. When we went through the pandemic, we in that off. We had preaching 7 folks in here.
Right.
Like we started with 7 people.
Right. With the media team.
If just the media team.
Right.
And a camera.
Right.
And you preaching like a madman.
Right.
But what that did to me, Pastor, and you did it, the online stuff we do now. When you're online, it's you and God.
You and God.
You can't can't fake that. That camera looking at you.
Right.
At yourself.
Exactly.
You can't fake that. It made us become better. I think preachers and teachers. I really believe that.
Yes.
It made us have to go back and hey, and then more people watch you. See, everybody became mega churches.
Overnight.
Because everybody see you. World Wide Web ahead. Everybody got folks overseas now. You're members. Or they're not members, they're online members.
Right.
And so the relevancy of online church in the digital age is not to move him out.
Mm.
And that's easy to be done. We can make him not even we become performers.
Yes.
On that stage. Because we people are seeing us.
Exactly.
And we can perform him out of the picture.
Wow, that's dangerous.
It's
very
God.
dangerous.
And then it's like if I could just segue into what's happened to the church world as a whole.
Yes, please do.
And I thought about on the way here. I said, okay, Lord, how do I tie this in? We become so carnal.
Yes.
Carnality is killing us. People can do what they think they want to do and then try to serve God out of the same body.
Mm.
And what did he tell us in Romans 8? For the carnal mind, it's enmity against God.
Yes.
Now, as you know, that word is hostile.
Hostile. Right.
That word means hostile. In other words, when I get carnal, I'm hostile toward God.
Fighting God.
I'm fighting him. I mean, I'm resisting him.
But we're the church and we fight God.
We're the church. And so what I've done, we got carnality in the pulpit, carnality in the music department, carnality in the choir, carnality in the praise team, carnality in the pews. Wow. Carnality simply means that I'm worldly. And when I'm worldly, I'm outside of the arc of the kingdom. Mm. I'm not being kingdom divided or driven. I'm now flesh driven. So what did that make me? That made me carnal. That made me hostile toward God. So now anything goes. You know the stuff they put on TV now and says, I'm attracted to young people. Where did the gospel have to be watered down to attract anybody?
Exactly.
I didn't get saved because of the watered down gospel.
Exactly.
Our children didn't get saved because we watered down the gospel. We told them what the gospel is. Now, we know methods change. Methods gotta change. Right. Yes. But the message can't.
It never changes.
We can't change the gospel of the word that he gave. We can't change be whole, I'm also holy, and all matter of conversation. We can't change that. But now, Pastor, the church, and not all church, we do it now. It's quote unquote to go with the I guess the relevancy of now, almost anything goes almost.
Everything goes.
And then if you criticize it, you're being insensitive. I'd rather be criticized and be right than be accepted and be wrong. Because I'm telling you, and as a pastor, we get accused. Okay, now the carnal crowd's gonna tell you you're too tight, you're too strict.
Exactly.
Let these young folk be the young folk. Of course, let them be the young people.
Exactly.
But that is a standard. You've heard me talk this, especially on Monday night things. Is that if the base be messed up, the building can't stand. You can rebuild on a foundation. Right. But there ain't no foundation. What you gonna rebuild on?
It's nothing to build on.
And there's nothing to build back on. And you got to keep the process going. And the culture is the world's culture has gotten to the church so badly that music you got to sit down and listen to it. What is that a gospel song?
Same songs in the club in the church.
Is that a gospel? Can I dance to that? Should I ask for? Can I have his hand for dance?
Right, sure.
It's what is what. I encourage you to keep the church. It ain't a club.
Amen.
It ain't a place where we come and meet folk.
Right. Amen. Definitely not.
You don't get no phone numbers.
Right.
You can get your digit. What digit? You ain't get no digit.
John 3:16.
There you go. So when we do this, Evangelist Cross, you know my sister, Apostle Cross.
Apostle Cross. Right.
She told me when we started this, she said, listen. She said, just preach. Mm. Don't preach clothes. Don't preach makeup. Don't preach jewelry. Don't preach this or that. Preach the word. And that's what I've tried to do from day one, is preach the word.
Now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And the word's what keep us. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Paul says to Timothy, in the last days, they're going to heap up teachers for themselves because of their itching ears. And what I heard you saying is that those are the days that they're heaping up teachers and people are preaching according to what the culture wants instead of what Christ wants.
That's exactly what they're doing.
And so we've challenged as believers to be able to Jude say we got to contend for the faith. Contend for the faith.
That's what he said.
And so those of us who are going to hold the bloodstained banner of Christ, we must make sure that we guard the gospel that we preach, to contend for the faith instead of being lured over into a culture that says to be popular. I never seen a day they would preach and want to be popular. And not be right. Not
That's
want to be, you ought to be the least known, not the most known.
That's good. What did John tell us? Mm-hmm. I must decrease.
That he may increase.
He may increase in me.
He may increase.
I make you a promise, Pastor. You hold up the bloodstained banner. You ain't worry about the support. Mm. It's going to be there.
Wow.
God got to do it. Mm. He just told us if I'm lifted. Christ said, I'm lifted. Satan thought he had him until he lifted him. Should have never lifted on that wooden cross.
Should have never lifted him. Right.
If I'm lifted from the earth, not you,
mm-hmm. I was wrong.
See, my prayer every day when I pray, I'm praying for the church. I still get up and pray. Still get up. I ain't get up this morning at 6 though, but I'm still praying for the church. Is that send those from the east, the west, the north, and the south. Watch this now. That you have ordained to be a part of the ministry.
That's you have ordained.
That's my prayer for the churches, for the church, because you're going to reach who I couldn't. Mm-hmm. There's a whole new wave coming that don't know God.
Wow.
And they will be able to be molded in the direction the church wants them to go. That's a prophecy. Mm. A new wave is coming.
I hear that.
That has to be shaped and molded. When you came to the church, we were establishing who we were. Mm. And people didn't know anything of what we're doing now. I mean, people didn't know what we were doing.
Right. It's coming now.
It's coming now.
Because you set that standard.
You just nailed it, man. And so now, when the crowd we're drawing now, one going to be more worldly. Mm-hmm. They're going to be more carnal.
Yes.
They're going to be eager to learn, but unlearning the things of God. Mm. So the challenge is to get the elders and the deacons and the ministers and the people to embrace difference and change but not compromise. I'm putting together, you preached Sunday, and while you was preaching, I got a word. What's wrong with compromise? Because folks are saying, what's wrong with that?
Right.
What's wrong with compromise? Why can't they do that?
Right.
And that's the easiest thing to do. I was talking to somebody, I can't remember what it was talking about when God, Satan don't have to do anything to make you. Satan don't have to do anything but to give us another thought.
That's it.
That's all he needs.
Put something out here.
That's all he does. He plants the seed.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to die. God knows the day you eat that fruit. You'll be as God. Your eyes will be open.
Sure.
And be as God. And left.
Mm.
Then Eve saw that the tree was good for food. The tree desired to make one wise and good for food. And she ate from her thought.
Mm.
So when they come into us, we can't compromise. But they come in. They come from the east. They come from the west. They come from the north. They come from the south to the ministry. And they're coming to be changed. They just don't know how to do it.
Because you don't show up to the church unless you want change.
Absolutely.
You want God. And I think that's one of the challenges that we have for those of us who are holding up the bloodstained banner. We don't compromise, but our hearts have to be in such a way that we can give them the grace to change.
And not forget where they came from.
Exactly.
We weren't born saved. Exactly.
When you've been in church for a certain amount of time, you forget where you come from.
Oh, that's one principles I think that the enemy uses.
Mm-hmm.
He takes, and we can drive folks away.
Exactly.
With our rigidness, without being able to understand and remember that somebody got you saved.
Yes.
To the point where you had to change. And you got to get people to change. And every time I see them in the club, but they're in church today.
Right. And we thank God they're here.
How you know they're in the club? Were you there or something?
Right.
Along those lines, it's seeing and understanding that God's going to send you. Not who you need.
Mm.
Who needs you?
Wow. Who needs you? Wow. And what I'm learning, Bishop, the more you learn of God, the more God starts pulling stuff from you. You don't desire to do certain things. So the crowd that we attract, the more they learn of him and get a relationship with him, they don't want to go back to the club because they still pursuing him. They want more of him.
Right.
And I think that's why it's so pivotal that we give people word, give them God, not ourselves.
When I told again, my plans were not to do this no longer than 65. And I didn't think about pandemic. It's been 3 years, pandemic.
Yes.
The church was, and by the way, what would I be to the point where I could barely walk and talk and still trying to pastor? Mm. Well, first of all, I wasn't going to do it. And then secondly, more importantly, you're not having the people.
I hear that.
When Joshua told Moses when Moses was doing all that, he said, you wear yourself out. But the people need a word. He said, no, you handle the big man. But get those over 50s and 10s and whatever. Let them handle that stuff.
Exactly.
Transition from one pastor to the next. And, and I know some, struggling right now with it. It's because somebody don't want to let go.
Yes.
I ain't had no problem letting go. Not because I wanted to,
right,
but because the need to.
Got you.
God has given me my health. I'm reasonably healthy, thank the Lord. My mind is still clear, thank the Lord.
Yes.
Lady Williams is still in good health.
Yes.
We both got some things we did with health, but still reasonable portion of health and strength. So we can still serve God, still fulfill the mission. I'm still gonna preach and teach.
Right.
But let me preach one every so often. I'm just
full preach yours anytime, bitch.
But the thing is that the transition causes upward trajectory, not remains the same.
Right.
Well, I shift from first to third gear, nothing happened. Cause what did I shift for? The shift makes it get easier. So no, tabernacle praise is not gonna get difficult, it's gonna get easier.
Get easier. That's amen.
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 Because the shift in the transition.
Amen. Well, Bishop, it's an exciting time.
It is.
The beauty I have, and it might be selfish, in the midst of the transition, I still have my leader here who I can confide in when difficult things come up. Everybody don't have that. So I count that as a blessing and favor.
That's true.
That I got an issue here I don't know how to deal with. I need to run it by you. And from your life experience and things that you've encountered to help guide through that process. And I think it's a double whammy. I think people miss sometimes. You have somebody who is pastoring the pastor. You're still overseer. And you have churches up under you at different locations. And so I'm grateful. I'm very grateful.
I'm happy. I'm happy. And I'm happy. I'm proud. I'm happy and proud. I ain't going nowhere.
Right.
I won't be here. They're going to see my ugly face every time I go through it. And I do it gladly and humbly. I'm humbled. This is a humbling experience to see God. And I preached several weeks ago. It's just as my one of the founding members.
Yes.
On legacy. I have no legacy until I leave here. So it's still being built.
Right. It's still being built.
And so to see God do what he is doing in the ministry now and see it from outside and not from the pulpit. I'm seeing it from the pews. It's rewarding.
Wow. And
I just pray that people understand and can see God all over this. Because I'm telling you, he's going to send it from the east, the west, north, and the south. They're coming unlearned in the things of God, unknowledgeable in the things of God, but want and need God.
And we have to be ready.
Got to be ready.
Got to be ready. You got to be ready. Now, you say you're not doing any preaching, that much preaching, but you're still prepared. I know there's 2 broadcasts that you do every week still.
Yes.
And I encourage people, they got to check out how we got here. They get to see the unfiltered version.
Yes. Yeah. Every Monday night at 7:00 p.m. on Central Standard Time.
Right.
I do how we got here.
Right.
And that came to me from God in that we talked about how we got to the way, the house, the church, family, everyone else. And I'm not preaching. I'm going to use the book, the Bible. I can't help it. I can talk about those things too.
Right.
They can see me not have to worry about what did Jesus say, what did Paul say. I'm going to say whatever he'll say.
Well, I encourage everybody to check. And then 30 Minutes with Bishop was Wednesday and Friday that you started that during the pandemic. I don't think people realize how much teaching and preaching you've been doing since the pandemic with doing online things and doing things inside the services.
I mean, you said, think about how much I talked. I was talking before we retired. I was doing Monday night, how we got here. Wednesday, 30 Minutes with the Bishop.
Right.
Wednesday night Bible study. Back on Friday doing 30 Minutes with the Bishop.
Yes.
And then Sunday morning.
3 times Sunday morning.
3 times Sunday morning. That's right. 8 o'clock service, driving to Uniontown, preaching 9:45, coming back at the 11 o'clock service.
In 1 week.
In 1 week. So I was doing, and they tell us, Pastor, that a 30-minute sermon is the same equivalent to 8-hour shift.
Yes.
So I was working 3 shifts on Sunday.
3 shifts on Sunday.
I ain't got to do now 1 shift now. Boy, you don't have
it. But I definitely encourage the viewers to tune in to how we got here. Definitely. And how we got here is on podcasts as well. Apple Music, Spotify, and Amazon.
Tell me that again because I can't remember all of them.
You're on Apple.
Listen to that now. Apple
Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon.
And Amazon. Y'all got to listen now.
Right. Definitely check you out, follow you there. But it's been great sitting here talking to you on the first episode of the Pastor.
I'm honored.
Tell you, I'm honored. I'm so honored, so excited. I know we're going to have viewers all everywhere watching this show because it was a great show, I think. And I believe and I know it's a great show. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been turned into the Pastor's Corner. We've been talking with Bishop Effell Williams Sr., the founder of TOP Ministries, the bishop of this house, and we're so grateful for his leadership and all that he's done. The Pastor's Corner is a place where the secrets can find sanctuary and the weary can find hope and inspiration. We'll see you next time at the Pastor's Corner.